Hi partners, I'm Mrs. Cherney and I am the teaching and learning literacy coach at Keller Elementary, and this year I'm working with Mrs. Reynolds in her 5th grade classroom. And so today we want to talk to you a little bit about ways that you can support your learner in this virtual world. We want you to know that this terrifies us. Mrs. Reynolds and I both have over 20 years of teaching experience, and this has by far been the hardest year ever. I can promise you that teachers, we are trying our very best, and it hurts our heart every single day that our kids can't be with us and surrounding us while we have wonderful discussions. And so we really look forward to being with your kiddos again. But until then, we do have to make the best of a not so good situation.
So I'd like to introduce you to our digital dashboard. And again, this is just for Mrs. Reynolds' class, but we want you to really pay attention to what is expected each and every day. So each and every day at 9 o'clock, your child needs to go to a Google Meet. Here is the nickname, Reynolds 5. To have a conversation with the teacher, with their classmates. Sometimes we're problem solving, sometimes we're just sharing celebrations or sharing things about our lives. But note that even on the Wednesdays when we do not meet for the entire day, we still meet for our Google Live meet in the morning. So please be aware of that 9 o'clock time is really when school starts. Following our morning meeting on Monday, Tuesday, and Friday, you'll see that we have live math. So anytime you see live, that's where your child has to show up. Like that number corner typically follows our morning meeting, so you'll see that they go right together. The only exception is here, we have music on Thursday. So this is the nickname for the kids to type in, Keller Music 5. And then after they are finished with music, then they hop into Reynolds 5 for math. Following number corner, we have, again, live session where Mrs. Reynolds is teaching science or social studies. So your child will again log in for Reynolds 5. The only day that would be different would be Thursday, because we have another special coming up. So that's on the other side, but so we'll do word study, so then they would log in with that. The writing workshop is a time of our day that we really value, and this is one of those times during the day that it's super important that your child is advocating for themselves as reading or writing. So I'll explain the workshop and what it looks like in a little bit, but just know that there is a live mini lesson at 10:45 for writing every single day, 10:45. Now, if you notice, we come back at 11:35. So this time right here, this 11 to 11:35, on all days with the exception of Thursday again because of a special, we have art. Your child has independent writing time. What we're afraid of is sometimes kids think that independent writing time is just a time to go off and do nothing. And this is where it hurts us to our core, that we can't be there to encourage kids to go off and do their best writing for the day, because we're not with them. And oh, how we long to be with them, but we're not. So that's where we need your help, is from 11 to 11:35. If you see your child doing anything except writing, you need to get on them. Because just as we have to practice basketball or ballet or riding a bicycle, we have to practice becoming a stronger writer every single day. So that is your child's time to really take ownership of themselves as writers and take what I'm teaching them in the lesson and try to make their writing just a little bit better than it was the day before. We come back for a share, so the kids know to come to WW5 and then S for share. WW is for writing workshop. And we discuss what we noticed, what kinds of areas in their writing they're proud of, possibly if they would like some help. So this writing workshop takes us right into our word study. And we have word study from 11:45 until noon. We are already on live because we're just coming back for our writing workshop share, so that remains the same. The only different day is again that Thursday because we have art from 11:30 to 12. So anytime you see your child in this 12 to 1 time, encourage them to be out, running around, getting rid of some of that extra. And the last thing we really want them doing is doing anything in front of a screen because they've already had so much screen time in the morning. So please keep that 12 to 1 o'clock time really open for away from the screen time. And if you try to tell them and they don't like it, tell them that we said so. We come back for a live meet again for reading workshop. And reading workshop works a lot like writing in that I have a lesson, and the lesson is usually about 15 minutes. So it goes from 1 to 1:15. And then again, here is that independent time, the time when your child is in charge of his or her reading. So any time between 1:15 and 1:40, you have to make sure that your child is reading a book. Because that, my friends, is where and actually that's just on that first day because of FIAD, excuse me, I'm sorry. So all the rest of the days, it's 1:15 to 2 o'clock. The research says that kids need their eyes in books more than anything. So reading for 45 minutes should not be a problem for kiddos if they're in the right book and it's something that they are wanting to read. We come back again at 2 o'clock for a live share. Typically the kids are already on, so they don't have to worry about re-logging in. And we kind of let the kids know what they need to do. Sometimes we give them a small break in between this area, but not always. Eventually, we will have your child fill in when they will be meeting with us during our workshop time, because we do want to individualize, and that's when we do that. We're just still working through what this is going to look like for however long it needs to be. So that is our digital dashboard. I encourage you to keep this somewhere, perhaps on your refrigerator, making sure that you highlight the times when they may tell you they're on a break, but really they're not. If you have any questions, feel free to email us. Now let's talk a little bit more about that workshop time.
So some of you might be wondering, well, what is workshop? What is reading workshop and writing workshop? And this is basically a structure of time, really. And if you think about it, you can think of it like a circle. And within this circle, we have kids either reading or writing. In the very beginning of that circle, there's going to be a mini lesson. That's a place where we do some teaching. When we notice kids are struggling with something, whether it's in reading or writing, we'll go ahead and figure out a way to show them how readers and writers tackle issues. So that mini lesson takes place. And in writing, it takes place at 10:45, and in reading, it takes place at 1 o'clock. Then all of this time here is for independent time. So this is all time where your learner will be either reading or writing. Work time is also the time when Mrs. Reynolds and I are working with either individuals or with small groups. At the very end of the lesson, they come back for a share. And again, it's really research supported in that we learn from one another too. So if a child tried something that we suggested in the mini lesson, then I might say, did anybody try? And then they can share what they did and what they realized, because oftentimes when peers hear one another talk, they'll go ahead and be like, ooh, I need to try that too. So there are some things that you can do to support your learner, and some structures or things to watch for each workshop. But basically I want you to think about it like this. And the kids know this story because it's new and real to me. I recently agreed, after many months of my husband prodding and poking and telling me I should try it, to get a dual sport bike. So basically it's like a dirt bike-ish that you can ride either on the roads or up north where there's country roads and not a lot of cars. We have a son that goes to Michigan Tech, so we like to go up and visit him, and up in that area there's not a lot of people or to crash into. Anyway, so I was talking to our learners about how the first time I was terrified, and when I got on it, I tootled around our yard a little and I ended up tipping over. And I got off and I said, that's it, I can't do this. It's too hard. And my middle son said, Mom, would you let one of us boys stop after one try, or your students? And I was like, no, you're right. So I kept trying, and the second time I fell, the third time I fell, and maybe even the fourth. But eventually there was a time when I didn't. I was able to actually enjoy it. So, but I talked to the kids about how, as a learner, I have to want to do that. So really this workshop time for the kids, they really need to take control of it, because we're not there to give them that boost like we would in the classroom. Just encourage them to make sure that they're reading during that time. You can ask questions about it. Right now, we're really starting to dive into the themes of stories, character motivation, where it's taking place. So asking questions about that, even if it's just, talk to me about the character. Is the character someone you would like to be friends with, or why not? The biggest thing is that you understand the importance of volume. Kids should have their eyes in books for 35 to 40 minutes every single day. But for writing, is that one way you can really help kids out at home is by telling them stories. Being a storyteller yourselves. We are really looking at our writing now and trying to get away from a summary. And by summary, I mean, first we did this, then we did this, then we did this. Getting them to actually step into that story and tell it. And my goodness, this would be a beautiful time to tell them stories of your childhood. Storytelling is a beautiful way to not only connect with your child during dinner or in a car, making them listen to you versus screens. That's a great thing to do too. So another piece I want you to think about when it comes to writing is, right now we are in a generating stage. So we're really just trying to think of as many ideas as we possibly can, so that eventually we can pull one of those ideas that matters to them. Everything we do can be a story, but kids seem to think that it has to be this big, spectacular trip to Bay Beach, or this big thing that happens, and it's the everyday things that can sometimes mean the most to those writers. So just know that we are still working on getting this structure down with kids. It's been a few weeks now, so we're really going to start saying, okay, we've talked about this since day one, and now we've talked about it again and now again. So we're hoping that kids will get into that structure, but with your support, using that dashboard, with your support, making sure that if they're not reading and writing when they should be, to give them that boost and be like, you know, this is what you're supposed to be doing, and remind them that the only way to get better at something is to do it over and over and over again. So Mrs. Reynolds and I thank you for your support. We hope that you reach out if you have any questions. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.